Welcome to TakeOff. In this series, we'll be discussing key innovations, breakthroughs, challenges in the tech industry. In our first episode, we'll highlight the milestones that shaped 2024 and the role Enable has played in these tech advancements. Today, joining us our very own Prasad Kuraratna, our Chief Technical Advocate, to share his insights. Let's begin. To begin, can you take us through an overview of the most significant technological milestones and trends of 2024 around the globe and what stood out to you this year?
Yeah, well, thank you. Thanks for the question. Interesting question. In terms of the technology trends, the primary technology trend I think that has shaped the year was the adoption of generative AI in the enterprise. And in addition to that, we've seen quite a dramatic change in the way people start using traditional machine learning technologies, applied AI, into the solutions that they do. Basically, what we saw was the emergence of automation in the machine learning model usage. And in addition to that, for the type of solutions that we do, something quite related to that was the emergence of amalgamation of, or the combination or the convergence of AI and the business automation. So this is quite an interesting area, quite an interesting trend. So we have been using this hyper automation tool set to automate solutions for years now. And the new companion came into that tool set was the generative AI. So that's quite an interesting trend that I saw. So coming back to the other areas, cloud computing and the edge computing space, we see a tremendous traction, especially to the applications that are built to run in the edge as well as getting support from the cloud, the core. Additionally, we also see remarkable changes in the way people start looking into digital security, especially in the space of digital identity, with the ever so sophisticated types of attacks that are getting into enterprises. Especially the sophistication has increased. With the emergence of AI, it has increased multifold the type of attacks that we are experiencing, because the attackers have started quite dramatically using automation tools in terms of projecting their attacks towards enterprises. So in this specific standpoint, we see a significant trend in the way that digital identity is protected, the tool sets that are associated with protecting the digital identity. And apart from all these, we also see a significant change in the way the software development industry shaped its way. We start seeing an increased penetration of generative AI in terms of improving the software development practices, in terms of increasing the efficiency of software development practices, extending to areas like, getting the help of generative AI models to shape, to do the developments using your own coding style. Some of the interesting things that I saw over the years were those.
Enable has been in the forefront of many technological innovations according to you. Looking back at 2024, how have the year's technological trends shaped Enable solution delivery? And can you mention some of tech milestones and achievements over the past year?
Yes. So the biggest achievement is in the space of application modernization. So I didn't explain any of the things in the previously in terms of technology trends that is associated with application modernization. However, modernizing application took a significant turn with some interesting victories both locally as well as internationally, where we were forced to use generative AI tool sets to be able to deliver those projects quite efficiently than what we would have done previously. And especially in the space of modernization, when we start moving legacy applications into modern architectures, from refactoring to traditional test case generation to even your coding assistance, all these automations were brought in by generative AI. So we are in the process of streamlining the adoption of those technologies in the way we deliver our application modernization. So going beyond the ML based refactoring aids that we have been getting from a set of tools that we have been traditionally using with IBM, we are also using generative AI the way we would want to increase the to accelerate the modernization efforts. In addition to that, there has been quite an interesting uptake of security solutions where the digital identity protection has been the core of the solution requirement. So the deployment of continuous authentication solutions, risk-based authentication solutions, adaptive authentication solutions to protect the digital enterprise has been some of the interesting things that we saw in the last year from an enabled solutioning standpoint. In addition to that, the adoption of cloud technologies, especially for those entities who have been fairly conservative in terms of moving to cloud, with the focus on making the applications cloud native, we started seeing a tremendous uptake in the way customers looked at the cloud. That also shaped the way we delivered solutions. So those are quite interesting facets that are aligning with those trends that I explained before in terms of delivering solutions to the market.
In terms of technological trends and what you have witnessed, what are some common challenges that you have seen that businesses face this year?
The biggest challenge that I see is in terms of adopting generative AI, having a proper AI governance structure in place to be able to get a responsible outcome of the use of AI, especially for regulated industries, because we do lots of solutions to banks and financial sector customers. So the adoption, or rather introduction of new regulation in terms of the way AI can be used, the requirement of explainability, trust and transparency in not only in delivering outcomes, but also in the way the foundation models are trained. So the entire life cycle needs to be governed. So AI governance is a critical thing that has not come into the mainstream regulations yet, fully fledged mainstream regulations, especially in this part of the world, in Southeast Asia and Sri Lanka, including Sri Lanka, where we are largely our engineering practices are based on. So that's one of the key challenges that I see in sort of democratizing the adoption of generative AI to improve efficiencies in maybe application modernization exercises. It's quite less prominent, but in the case of using AI, generative AI within the enterprise, especially to improve the back office automations, where you are essentially working with customer data, that governance is a very critical aspect. More so, the moment we start using AI, when we push customers to use AI, where we are actually doing some interesting proof of experiences, when we start helping customers to use a generative AI for external consumption, that means allowing the customers to use, or rather customers to interact, like the generative AI chatbots in the customer care segment, we see the need for governance in an extended manner. So therefore, this challenge is something I believe we need to look into seriously, and I believe the regulations will come through in order to govern this in the coming year. At least there will be some good start towards that area. In addition to that, of course, the cloud adoption, there are still the data sovereignty challenges, because the regulations are not crisp, clear as to which type of data you need to make resident within your country and which type you can move out of the country. So these are little blurred, And these pose challenges to customers, especially the conservative type customers who actually need to improve their efficiencies through cloud adoption, but still, they take a step back without moving forward aggressively because of the lack of clarity on the regulations.
As a technological solution provider, how has Enable catered to these business challenges, and which technological solutions did we use to address them?
Yeah, one of the things that we did was we integrated the generative AI usage with our process automation platforms. So we extended the automation of workflows. We integrated the generative AI in between workflow steps. And we started automating things that would have been done by humans with the help of generative AI. So what we did was essentially extending the platforms on which we were building our process automation solutions to consume generative AI through retrieval augmented generation patterns. So that's one of the areas where we significantly, I believe, improved and in the process of improving efficiency. And there's a significant uptake in that, in those types of solutions in the banking and financial sector, including the insurance industry as well, which we are entering quite aggressively into. And in terms of cloud adoption and application modernization, there has been extremely interesting app modernization projects that we ventured into, where there has been legacy applications where we use tools to accelerate modernization. Those projects are long-term projects. We are still in those projects. But the potential of the use of these new technologies in terms of migrating, may it be cross-cloud, may it be on-prem to cloud, is quite fascinating, I would say.
When providing our services to customers, what are the challenges that we faced and how we overcome those challenges?
Yeah, one of the things is now traditionally this the use of AI was sort of restricted to data engineers and data scientists, and they were the ones, those were the skill sets that we were relying on. But with the introduction of generative AI, where the models are pre-trained, it is just that we need to adapt our queries towards the the generative AI model, the foundation models, through the use of patterns like RAG. So what we see is there's a shift in the way the skill sets needs to be aligned to handle the generative AI type solution infusion into our mainstream business automation solutions. And I wouldn't say it is a challenge, but then when we start working with AI developers, or we are trying to actually convert traditional or other software developers with a little bit of skill set around data science, we are trying to adapt them into being AI developers. We saw a little bit of challenge because they truly do not understand how these models work, and especially in cases where we have to combine the generative AI technologies with the traditional machine learning. They were struggling actually in terms of the limited skill set that they have in data science. So to essentially to give the real outcomes out of these AI infusion into our solutions, we probably need a combination of skill sets, which we probably didn't, I would say we overlooked, we didn't look into it in depth in the year. So that came as a challenge. So we are trying to see how we can address those as well. And pretty much that's about it. And, in terms of delivering security solutions as well, now the traditional boundaries of, protecting identity are sort of blurring, because we now have different attack vectors. So the engineers, the security engineers, the security specialist, cyber security specialist has to think completely differently, so that change of mindset in terms of looking significantly looking outward towards very sophisticated type attacks that probably may start coming including the automation, the rapid rate at which those attacks are propagating and all that, I would think is something a security engineers would have to sort of adapt to, which also was a little bit of a challenge, that mindset change. And also one of the other areas is this cloud migration, moving from virtual worlds, virtual machine mentality to cloud native architectures is not a very smooth thing as I would see in the past year. So that's an area where we probably have to put more effort, because that has been bread and butter for us for a long time. Yeah, those pretty much are the challenges that we face.
We have used number of technological offerings to address customer problems this year. Can you give an example for one of the standout project according to your experience?
Yeah, there are two quite interesting projects, but I would touch upon one, because this is a manufacturing industry customer who was having an extremely legacy manufacturing execution system, uh, using old language frameworks, data models, the probably an organically grown solution. You would know when it is in-house developed, when requirements are coming sort of, at different times. Developers start adapting the code, the way their style permits them to. So it's a mix of multiple. So it's a fairly complex software system which is driving a core business operation. So for the first time, Enable starts investing its skills, molding, or rather I would say focusing its skills in terms of breaking this complex application into pieces and trying to see how we can functionally modernize it in addition to technically modernize it. So in terms of doing that, we needed a lot of automation where these, the tools, the generative AI based tools came in handy for us in terms of achieving things like the refactoring, things like the test case generations, and so on and so forth. So I would say the use of generative AI technologies, plus we are now planning to use machine learning technologies as well, traditional machine learning technologies as well, in terms of improving that application and to make it a true modern application. So that's quite an interesting solution where we had to use multitude of technologies in the AI space in a app modernization initiative. Some of them are of course in the process of being used, some of them we are already using, but the combination is quite interesting because by identifying that right mix and the quantities or the quantums in which these AI technologies should be used is an interesting proposition. So I would think this manufacturing industry modernization solution as one that stood up significantly among the others as a solution where we adopted key technology trends.
I guess our audience has a good overview of how Enable has helped to solve customer problems utilizing new technological innovations. As a technological solution expert in this field, what advice would you give to businesses to adapt to this volatile technological environment?
Yeah, I wouldn't, probably I would touch a couple of them. In terms of the use of generative AI, obviously what I say is sky is the limit. So you have to think out of the box in terms of getting these real innovations into improving the levels of automation that your business processes are achieving today. Look at customer centricity. Look at customer centricity from the eyes of generative AI. Look at how you can improve and assist employees by the use of generative AI. Look at the capabilities, map them into the challenges, and start doing proof of experiences and expand it to key high impact areas. and you will start seeing things that you have never thought that this technology would bring. So that's a very, very important message. Be bold, go for it, go for customer centric interactions using generative AI, go for employee efficiency improvements using generative AI. And there are enough of investments, technology investments and innovations made into make sure that the predictions or rather the generation of outcomes through generative AI is explainable, is trustworthy, and is in fact transparent in the way it is delivered to either your end customers for their consumption or for your internal employees for them to improve their efficiencies. The other area is I would touch upon app modernization. That is a game changer for your application landscape. You need to start finding high impact applications where the modernization will start bringing significant benefits by moving them into cloud. When you start thinking along those lines, you will start seeing that when you move to cloud, you can further modernize because you can use cloud managed services. So the modernization thinking is something very, very important for high impact applications. Think modernization, start small, grow on-prem, do that modernization and see how this refactoring can bring real value, make those applications ready to consume cloud resources efficiently, move to cloud, continuously innovate to modernize it using the cloud native or the cloud managed services. So these two areas I thought that in the next year there will be a significant focus in terms of adopting, and I believe as Enable we should be able to provide you with advisory role as well as consultative advice to you in terms of taking that journey in achieving tremendous amount of efficiencies and cost savings.
What's next to Enable in 2025? Is there anything that we plan to focus on?
Yeah, something you can see in 2025 would be democratization of generative AI across all our practices. And you will start seeing that with every practice in some form of the other, and you will see those outcomes touching your efficiency goals, your outcome delivery of your business outcomes, and there's no other way that we can help you with the level of digital transformation acceleration that you are expecting than using these types of technologies, these types of novel technologies, obviously in a more responsible, transparent and trustworthy manner. So that I would think is something that you would count on us, or rather you would be experiencing us from us in the year to come.